Hey everyone, Ernesto here from the Houzz Pro team. In this video, I'm going to walk you through how to complete a framing takeoff using Houzz Pro. This tutorial is for builders, remodelers, and framing contractors who quote directly from construction plans and want a faster, more reliable way to get accurate material quantities. We're going to focus on wall framing, so that's going to include exterior and interior walls, plates, studs, doors, windows, wall sheathing or shear walls, and framing hardware. Along the way, I'll share best practices on grouping your takeoffs and using assemblies, so you're not manually counting the lumber pieces. So let's get started. I just uploaded the plan here, and we're going to go to Company, My Items, and filter by Assembly. I have some set up already here under Framing, so let's get started and look into each one. The first one is the interior framing wall, and it's composed of 2x4s. The components here are going to be your stud count, blocking, double top plate, and a single bottom plate. Normally that's pressure treated. The unit is linear feet. I went ahead and added photos in here for every single item. But first, the 2x4x8 stud. So the numbers that you see under the quantity field, I'll click into each description so that you can see what it's how it's calculated. For this one, it's simply 12 inches divided by 16. Feel free to pause if you need to. For blocking, this is the calculation right here. This blocking, just so you're aware, only applies to localized strap or collector blocking. If you have a continuous blocking, the numbers might need to be adjusted for that. Top plate is just 1 foot divided by 20. It gives you about 0.05, and you just times that by 2 to get double plate. And a single plate is 1 divided by 20. So that concludes the interior wall. Next, exterior wall. This is fairly similar. I essentially clicked create and duplicate and edited the information. So this is a 2x6 wall instead of the 2x4. All the numbers look very similar. In exterior walls, you could also add plywood in here. If it's a 4x8 sheet, you would just take 1 foot divided by 4 and it would be 0.25 to get a sheet count. I don't have plywood in here. I do have it on a shear wall, but I'll share it here shortly. Again, feel free to pause at any point in the description and see how I got those calculations. But the shear wall, here's where the plywood is going to be added. This is going to vary by project and whatever specification is per page, whatever the architect tells you. But plywood, where you just take 1 foot divided by 4, that will give you 0.25 per linear foot, and essentially in 4 feet you get 1 plywood sheet. So there's the calculation. For this specific one, I added a dimensional lumber for blocking as well as for the studs. So there's the information on the description, and then I got some anchors. Feel free to tweak this per project. It can vary, obviously, depending on your workflow. But the main takeaway here is that assemblies are very flexible and can really adjust to any workflow and any specification that you have on your plans. Next, we've got our door framing, and this is going to be a count. So essentially you just set it to pieces as unit, and that will include 2 king studs, 2 jack studs, 1 header, and then cripple studs, but those are obviously optional. The quantity is going to depend on your spacing, so we're not going to measure the spacing, the opening of the doors, and that could just be adjusted later. Or if you like, you could always do a door specific size assembly for each one, and that will cover it. Similar to window, same thing. King studs, jack studs. The only thing that changes here is the cripple studs on top, the sill plate, and then now it has bottom as well, cripple studs. But same thing, quantity is going to be depending on that spacing, that width of that window. So you can play around with these and get specific sizes and get the cribble studs from that. But for now, we're just doing a simple count. Now we're going to go to our takeoff. Since we did all the work to set up our assemblies, now we're going to start and look at the pages where we're going to do the measurements. We'll start with the exterior, and I'm first going to just open a few of these pages, figure out which ones are going to have the information I need, and we're going to pin these. That way we have a consolidated view of the pages where the measurements are going to be, instead of having to scroll through the whole plan. So this one should be a good one, as well as the next one. So it's a 3-story building structure. So we'll pin these two, and then on the top bar is going to be our pin pages section. And you can see I only have 4 now, and that's what I'm going to work off of. So for the exterior walls, we're going to go ahead and select that specific group. And I'm going to do a linear measurement, so it's going to be with the length tool. When it comes to page scale, all the pages on the plan are going to be 1/4 of an inch equals a foot by default. And I'm going to do a quick check right here with the line tool, just to verify that we are accurate. And this one does seem to be fairly accurate. So I'm going to go ahead and start measuring. I'm going to select my group, but instead of selecting from this takeoff on the left hand side, I'm going to select assemblies and look for that category framing and start with the exterior. So we're just going to assume we got a 2x6 exterior walls, and we're going to go through all 3 floors and get our measurements. I'm going to speed this up so that way you don't slowly see me how I'm measuring. But as you can see, I'm just getting all these walls, but not the windows or the doors. We're going to calculate those separately. That is really up to you. You can just do exterior walls including the windows and floors. Some pros do that, but just want to show you a different way where you can call out each specific framing around the doors and the windows, and that's another way to do it. So I'm done with my exterior. Now we're going to do our interior. This is just going to capture anything that's internal, and these are going to be 2x4s. Very similar to what we did with the exterior, just on the interior side. Once again, I'm skipping over the door openings and just capturing the walls that need to be framed. I'm trying to be as centered, so I start in the center of the wall and take it through the middle to make sure I'm getting the most accurate measurement for these walls. Next, I'm going to move on to the shear walls. This specific plan has a total of 4 different ones, but for simplicity purposes, I'm just going to assume all the walls are the same for now. Keep that in mind. There might be different components for each, and if that's the case, you may want to create a separate assembly for each, or measure them and then just modify them when you get to the estimate. But I'll speed up this process here. It's going to be fairly straightforward. I'm just going off of the markings where each specific one is called out and measuring from one end to the other. Next, we're going to move on to our doors and windows. Again, these openings can be handled using the count takeoff tool. And I select the first door framing. I'm just going to go around and look for the doors. And with the click, get a tally of how many doors I have for this specific project. finished with this one, and I'll move on to the next page. Keep in mind that as long as you use the same group, at the end you can tally all the doors together for the entire project. No need to manually add after. You'll see when I get to the combine measurements area before the estimate. I'm done with my doors. Now we're going to move on to our windows. Going to select here an icon in a different color. And similar to the doors, I'm just going to click around and drop a tally for each. Now this one has just 8 windows, but the other one has a lot more. So for this one, I'm going to actually use the symbol recognition option. That's going to be the little arrow next to the count icon on the toolbar, and this is going to speed up this process a lot more. You'll see in a second. So all you do is you click on that arrow pointing down and click search, and then I'm going to highlight the A symbol, and it's going to look for other similar symbols in the same page and then give me the results. From there, I can select if it's showing me something that I don't want to include. I can uncheck it or check others that are possible matches. In this case, I'm going to just select all types of windows since we're not really separating them by sizes. And with that, I am done. This can speed up the process. Instead of manually just automatically using AI to measure. But that concludes my windows. Lastly, I'm gonna move on to hold downs. This one, we're just gonna do a simple group, not part of an assembly, and I am gonna use that search function again. I'm gonna highlight the A, which corresponds to that specific hold down, and this is where I think the symbol recognition shines. In a few seconds, it's gonna give me the results, and I'm just simply going to deselect a few of them, maybe click some that it left out, and you'll see that it really speeds up the process. So I don't want that D, the F. It's normal, it's picking up the circle, so that's alright. Just gonna unselect these and then look for other A's below it. Create count, and then I can switch over to manual if I want to and look for any other ones and fill in the gaps, but I think we're pretty much done here. I'm going to go ahead and look to our review here, a summary, and I'm going to create an estimate. This is where you get the option to combine different groups into one, and here's my estimate. I have the hold downs on top and then each assembly. So the exterior is going to give me my total for the studs, the blocking, the top plates, the bottom plates. Interior, same thing. I got all of those counts. I got my door framing, so if I want to divide it by king studs, jack studs, headers, cripple studs, I can adjust the cripple studs. Other than that, the rest is accurate. I got how many windows I need, how many plywood sheets I need, dimensional lumber for studs, for blocking, and for anchors. To save the markups, you can click on Save to Files and you'll get a push notification along with a file under the Files and Photos section. You'll get each marked up page along with an overlaid legend on the top left hand corner that you can share with your team or maybe with a client. And this looks very professional. It's got everything all the components for the estimate. This was a very general framing takeoff. Very simple, but again, wanted to showcase how flexible it can be. Thanks for watching.